Hi, in this class I'm going to show you masking inside a ZBrush. So I just open it up. If you hit comma, if you hit the comma, it's going to get rid of this window here. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to load up the last object that I worked on, which I saved to my desktop, this block, and I just click inside ZBrush to open it back up, and I'm going to go into edit. Okay, so I'm going to orbit around here. If you're clicking outside here in negative space and orbiting, if you hold shift, it'll snap it to different perspectives. Alright, so what I'm going to do here in the front is I'm going to mask out a little space. So to do that, what you do is you're going to hold control. I'm using the bracket bars on the keyboard to adjust my size when you see the cursor get larger or smaller. Okay, so holding control, I'm just going to come in. I'm going to start masking out a spot inside here. And I'll just pretend that here you go. Here's some generic fake looking ruins. Alright, so if I hold Alt, I can go back in and I can refine it. Which, I'll do just a little bit of refinement on it. If you click inside there, what it does is it's going to cause it to blur. Right, so you can undo that. If you hold Control Alt and click, it actually makes it sharper. Which, I'm going to be honest here, I didn't know until I accidentally did it just now. So that's pretty cool. Alright, so a little bit more masking. Alright, that looks really awful, so I'm just going to put that back the way it was. Alright, this is good enough. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold Control and click out here in negative space, so that now those areas, if I come over here and zoom in, those areas are masked. And so if I come in here, I could sculpt, and it's going to bring those out. See how that does that? Alright, so I'm going to undo that because what I want to do is I want to make these slight indentations. So I'm actually going to go into my brushes by hitting B. I'm going to hit M because I want to get into move. I want to grab the move brush because I just want to take, I'm going to make my cursor a little bit bigger. I want to bring this guy in a little bit to slightly recess it. Alright, so I'm going to just want to have it look like these are little carved out chunks on this block. So I'm just going to kind of click here, so drag it just a little bit. Right. Maybe I'll undo that because what's happening is right now the edge is so hard. I kind of want it to be a little bit smoother, so I'm just going to hold Control and blur it slightly. Now I'll do that again. Alright, let's bring this in a little bit. Bring him in a little bit. Bring this one in a little bit. You could also brush S, and then I want standard, which is T. Okay. You could just regular brings it out, but if you hold Alt on your keyboard, you can dip it in, which probably is what I should have been doing on these in the first place. There we go. So we kind of make these look like they're semi-carved out of here. Alright, and then you just hold Control and drag out here in negative space to get rid of those. Alright, so now I have little carven ruins in here. What I could do, B for brush, T for trim, D for dynamic. I could go around some of these edges a little bit, make them not so perfect. I wanted to. That would definitely make it look better. Issue you run into is you do end up seeing a little bit of the aliasing of the mask. I'm going to hold shift and just kind of, shift is smooth, and so I'm going to smooth that out just a little bit around there and take away some of that. And then I'll just go back in, a little bit more trim dynamic. I'm no longer holding shift. Shift will get you to your alternate brush, which by default is the smooth brush. So I can come in here and hold shift. There we go. Smooth that down just a little bit. Alright. Just holding Alt and negative space and moving allows you to move it around. So I'm just going to kind of carve away at just this one here for the purposes of this tutorial. Just show you. Maybe I'll hit this guy over here too. There we go. Alright. Okay, so it's kind of carving in some ruins inside there. I could do this multiple times in order to add detail to it. I can make them more subtle, more specific. I could bring in, I could create a brush, essentially create a stencil in another program and bring that in and do exactly the same thing. Right? As long as it's a PSD file, you could just bring it in and use it as a brush inside this program. It's incredibly versatile in that regard. In my example for getting this thing started, I built my mesh inside of 3ds Max, and you don't have to always build your mesh. You could do everything inside this program. So, and one of the great things is that there's a lot of tutorials out there for how to work inside of ZBrush. So there you go. Like I said, this is just meant to be like real basic functionality inside of it. It's just a very simple introduction to show you that while it is so different from what you've learned so far, it is something that you can approach and you can start working inside of, and you should not be intimidated by it. It's something that you could go inside of it and really work with. I'll show you another brush real quick here. There's one called, give me a second, I gotta clean this guy up a little bit. Alright, BD, I want to use the damn standard, I'm going to hit S. So what that does is it goes through and it kind of, if I just do it here, you see it carves out edges. That's not what I want. Alright, so I'm going to use this to kind of chisel away this edge. Give it a little bit more character going around there. Whoops. That was interesting. Alright. Just kind of push those around some. There. If you hold Alt, it'll actually kind of pull things out. So, just switch over to my smooth and smooth some of that back out. Okay. Alright, and then you're going to be switching around brushes. Of course, you'll find out you could totally rearrange your entire layout. So now I can take this and I can export this out, and I can run this through another piece of software like Substance Painter and just start creating textures based off of this model. And I could actually put a different material inside some of these more recessed areas, which could be kind of cool. We could actually go in and we can make those areas glow like they have magic runes in them or something along those lines. Something that really falls into that classic video game sphere. Alright, so let's go ahead, we'll save this. We'll just save over the existing one. And then I'm just going to export that out. I'm going to give this one a different name though. Alright, so it's going to take a little bit. Went through, added some details. Just going to export this out. It is one simple block, so it's not that detailed. As you get into more complex objects, you will end up having what's called multiple tools inside there. We'll talk about that in the next set of tutorials. Alright, so what I've done here is I paused the tutorial so I could go ahead and load up Substance Painter. I went in and I told it to bake out the model, and you'll see what happened is only part of the detail came through. Now, the reason for that is very simple. When I went into Bake Mesh Maps, I just left it at the default. And so what I need to do is I need to increase the max rear distance so that the cage looks further back for more detail. So I'm just going to increase the max frontal distance to 0.1. I hit tab and I go to max rear distance. I'm going to increase that to 0.1 as well, and I'm going to rebake. And what we should start seeing is more detail coming through. And we can tune those values back and forth just to see, if there's more that we need to do with it. So, okay. So, looks like it's coming through, which is pretty cool. We'll let it finish up here. Okay, so there's our basic model. There's our little carved in ruins that we made. So if I come in here, I can put a basic material on. And I'm just going to put under materials, why don't I just throw this concrete on there? All right, so a big old stone block. Now I'm going to make a new folder, and inside that new folder I want to put a new, I actually want to put a new fill layer. I'm going to put that inside there. I'm going to change the color of it and make it kind of like a nice little green here, but kind of dark. And with the fill layers, you can actually set them so that they control specific things. Do you want it to control the normal or not? You could turn that off. Do you want it to control metal, roughness, or height? All I really want to do is just want to add some color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click here on folder and say add black mask, and I'm going to come over here, and with my brush I'm going to actually paint where I want the mask to be. So all the other tutorials I've done up to this point, I've gone in and I've actually just used either polygon selection or I used a mask that was created. And so now you get to see that you can actually manually go in and paint where you want to have your masks, right? And you can orbit around the software or orbit around the model. I'm holding Alt to do that. You gotta switch to erase if you want to erase if you went up a little bit too far. There we go. Go back to paint. And you can keep going through and painting inside there to kind of create that. And basically what we're doing is just masking out a specific area on the model here. There we go. My middle mouse button there. And so just kind of going around, painting on here, defining this space. And then later I can actually use that to create a separate map, and that will cause it to glow. I'll have to look and see. I'm not sure if there's a way to do that natively inside Substance Painter. I don't know if it has an option to do like a glow material. It probably does. I probably just don't know about it. So I'll look around and see. Either way, like it's whether it does it in here or not, it's really what matters is whether or not you could do it inside the game engine that you're working in. Let's be totally honest. So, and you could set that up inside a material. You could also set it up as a mask inside a 3ds Max as well. All right. So yeah, I'm just kind of going through. I'm just painting those areas. And right now they look pretty lame, and I know that because it just looks like I'm painting green on top of it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask it. I'm actually going to put a different material in that spot. So I'm going to stop there. You don't need to watch me. We don't need a 30-minute video of me just painting green everywhere. I'm going to copy this mask. I'm going to come down to the stone and I'm going to add a black mask, and I'm going to paste my mask in there. And I'm going to right click and say invert. So now I have the green area and I have the gray area, which is very different. So I can actually come to this green one. I could put something totally different in there if I wanted. If I want to come in and put in like, I don't know, let's put some human flesh inside the green areas. Nice. That's weird looking. Cool. And that's getting masked off in those areas. So I even increase this above it. And I can set this to color dodge. Yeah, we'll just leave it at normal. All right. So there we go. At any rate, what we're looking for here is we're looking to actually just utilize it to create a mask. We can then later go in and make that glow. So we would just export this out as normal. All right. So that's it. That's basically how you use masking inside of Max, or masking inside of ZBrush, as well as painting manual masks inside of Substance.